My name's Paul, and I'm just talking to John Risbridger about our new sermon series in Deuteronomy. So, John, why are we looking at this rather ancient and obscure book from the Old Testament?
I think this is a book that is actually right in line with our vision as a church. We believe that God wants to make us a blessing as a people in our city and across our world, and so we want to understand from the Bible how that can happen. And I think that's exactly what Deuteronomy is there for. God's people are standing on the edge of the promised land. They're going into the land to fulfill their mission, and this is God's instruction to them about how to be a blessing, how to be his people in a way that will reflect his glory to the nations. So we're studying it because if that's how they were to be a blessing to the nations, it can teach us how we can be too.
Great. And how does this book kind of fit into the whole kind of spectrum of the Bible's narrative?
It's an incredibly central book in the whole of the Bible. Really striking that it's quoted 83 times in the New Testament, really? 83 times. And many people think, and I agree with them, that it stands behind most of the prophets as well, the writing prophets. So this is a very formative book in contemporary Judaism, in Old Testament Judaism, and in the Christian church. In terms of where it fits into the story, it comes after the book of Numbers, so God's people are out of Egypt. They've finished their messing around in the desert, and they're just about to go into the land. And this is the book that prepares them for that.
And what are some of the challenges for you as a preacher preparing to teach this? Is it a fairly easy book or a bit complicated?
Yeah, it's a massive challenge, actually, partly because there is so much written about Deuteronomy, just enormous literature about it, most of which is never going to make its way into a sermon, but obviously I need to try and understand as best I can what people have said. But also because it belongs in a very different world to our world, both in terms of the context at the time, but also theologically the word would be covenantally, it's very different to us. So this was addressed to Old Testament Israel, whereas we are New Testament believers. Then the people of God was a nation, now it's a people scattered among the nations. So the challenge is always how can we grasp its relevance, bring it into our lives and into our church, but without just making superficial connections that makes it look like our context is the same as theirs. So please pray for me as we do it, and for the rest of the preachers.
Excellent. Sounds exciting. And if you're not here every Sunday, don't forget to listen online so that you do get the continuity of the series.